Okay, so hopefully I've got everything set up properly here. There's gonna be a few bumps and whatnot. So, let's go ahead and turn the gain down on that because I'm talking a little loud there. All right. I can always turn this up, not a big deal. All right, so for those of you who have listened before, this has been a year in the making, mostly because I've been busy with other stuff, but I'm finally bringing Arthur's Roundtable back. Thing is, I'm not at a table anymore. I'm in my car. You probably can hear it a little bit. But what I decided to do is kind of influenced by Flula on YouTube, who has a series where he hooks up with people or doesn't hook up with people and does it by himself and makes music in his car, which is always interesting to see. But was just a little influenced by that, and I'm about to run somebody over because, yeah, walking through the middle of the road, pay attention. So I decided to take Arthur's Roundtable on the road. Still want to call it Roundtable because I like the name, and if you don't like the fact that there's not a table anymore, sorry, get over it. So I'm headed to pick up my first guest, and yeah, we'll see how this goes. Hopefully the video turns out. Tell you what, something else hooking up your car with 2 DSLRs and a GoPro certainly could go for a second GoPro. And that's about all I got at the moment, just because working on picking up my guest, and there she is. Get ready to say hello to Tina, everybody.
Hey.
Hey. So. Oh, didn't mean to do that. I'm hitting buttons on my recorder here. Will you say something? Make sure I'm getting a signal.
Hello.
All right, excellent.
Was I talking too close to my chest? We don't know.
Nah, you should be fine.
Okay.
All right, so yeah, that one's pointed at you. Okay. This one's pointed at both of us, and then there's that one back there.
Fancy.
Yeah, well, we'll see how fancy it is when I finish. So, what's your name?
Tina Fravel.
What do you do for a living, Tina?
I am an elementary art teacher, so I'm crazy.
Elementary art teacher. So, finger painting, clay?
Never any finger painting, ever.
So you try to teach them good habits?
Yes. Everybody always assumes that I finger paint, and so we have a 0 tolerance policy for finger painting in Miss Fravel's art room.
Makes sense.
Real artists. And the 1 or 2 times that I let a student finger paint, we make a special exception, and they know that, they don't need to touch everything and that it's not real art.
Makes sense.
Yes.
How long have you been teaching?
This is my 5th year teaching at the same school.
5 years at the same school.
And 5 gray hairs. 1 for each year.
1 for each. So far it's not exponential.
No, not exponential. And they, honestly, all 5 might have been from the same year. I had this terrible 3rd grade class, my 2nd year teaching, that made Miss Fravel cry.
They made you cry?
Yes.
That's no fun.
It's a good classroom management technique I learned at the very end of the school year because it scared the bejesus out of them.
You crying scared them?
Yes. Because,
I can see that.
They like me.
I don't think I ever saw a teacher cry, and I think if I had, I would have, it would have changed my mindset.
Yes, it did. And I was like, why didn't I use this like 4 months ago.
Do you have any like any crazy stories? Like is there one like child that has stood out over the 5 years so far?
Oh, absolutely. There's multiple children that stand out over the years, and don't want to embarrass anybody. But the one lady that I always tell the story of, who, excuse me, but shit herself all the way to her shoes. I had a second grader who asked to go to the bathroom all the time during art, and I would let her go. And then I found out that she was running amok in the hallway, so I finally said, never again are you going to the bathroom. There was a lockdown security drill, and I have to go to the bathroom. I gotta use it. Miss Fravel's what she always, I gotta use it. And I said, no, security drill, I'm not allowed to let anybody out of the room. And we had a vice principal that he was ready to retire, slow as molasses. He had to walk around the entire building before they could clear the lockdown drill. So
Right.
This just happens. We're waiting for him to walk around the building, and she decides that she's going to prove a point that, Miss Fravel, I do need to go to the bathroom. So she did number 2, and we're trapped in the room. All of the second graders and I need to go to the window and open the window up and breathe in the air because the entire room stank so bad. 20 minutes later, 15 minutes later, I'm not quite sure, it felt like forever. When they said the lockdown drill was over, we let her out, and as she's walking down the hallway, there is shit in her shoes and just a smell going down the hallway with her as she goes to the office.
So was it like diarrhea liquid or?
Yes, the nurse said it was one of the most disgusting things she had ever seen. And this girl, she's from one of our poorer neighborhoods. She eats a lot, but I'm sure it's all food that's terrible for your body. This is a girl that was
Lots of grease, so it's all, so her insides are lubed up.
Yes, and a girl that's not very well taken care of. She feeds herself. Mom didn't take care of her. So, of course, your diet, if you were allowed to eat whatever you want that's cheap, sugary foods, you know. And people were sending Febreze and room sprays to my room for the rest of the day because that
The
smell,
other teachers were?
Yes, that smell
that was
would
nice
not
of them.
leave. Yeah, it was nice of them because it was awful.
That kind of reminds me, it's not nearly as disgusting of a story, but sitting in the band one day, my National Guard band that I'm in, and one of the guys that plays the euphonium with me, he's notorious for just like having the most rank farts in the world. And so we're sitting there and we're playing, and he farts, and you know it's a bad one when the person who dealt it takes a whiff and goes, oh, that's bad. Because most of the time, like, your fart's like, you know, you smell it and you're like, well, that smells like a fart. Like, for some reason, they're not as bad if they came from yourself, but they're really bad if they come from somebody else. Well, he smells it and he goes, oh, that's bad. I was like, what? And then it hits me in the face, and I was like, oh. And I just had to stop playing, and I just buried my face in my sleeve. I'm just like, you know, just trying, you know, using my sleeve as a makeshift gas mask. And then I watch the aroma just float down the line, because, you know, we're sitting in a concert arch, and, you know, we're the back row.
And it's a cartoon aroma.
And like, yeah, like I swear it had a green tint to it. Like I'll just watch it like float down and hit each of the trombone players down the line on my side. And like just one by one, they go, you know, they're just like, oh, so bad, and stop playing. And I look to the other side and I see the trumpet players, the same thing. And it gets to the point that our conductor, he's conducting and none of the brass are playing. And he's like, brass, what's the problem? And we've all got our faces buried in our sleeves because and we're just like, we're just dying. You know, it smelled so bad. This guy literally shut down an army band with a fart.
That's pretty impressive.
Luckily, it was just a rehearsal. It wasn't a performance or anything. We just had to suffer through it. Performance. It was just, but it was something else, that's for sure.
Imagine terrorist attacks with that kind of stink power to it. If just one guy can take down the brass section of an army.
It was something else, that's for sure. There was a couple of guys that, oh gosh, I guess that was my very first annual training I conducted in the Army band. A couple of guys pulled a double-decker on somebody.
A double-decker?
That's where you take the lid off the tank of a toilet and you shit in the...
Oh, I thought that was an
in
upper-decker.
Upper-decker, yeah.
Double-decker is a bus, right?
The word decker is in there.
Okay.
Close enough. I guess it is upper-decker. So, but yeah, so they did that to one of the guys' hotel room bathroom. It's kind of gone down in infamy in our unit.
I've never actually seen it done in real life. I've only heard it referenced in the show Archer, and maybe other people mentioning it.
I've witnessed it. And luckily, it was not my room, but it was no good. I would only do that to somebody if A, you really don't like them.
Okay.
I mean, I really don't. And B, you know you can get away scot-free.
Okay.
Because you do not want to be cleaning that up.
So if I can think of a crazy female whose name rhymes with Baron, I'd want to do an upper decker in her house.
Only if you could get in and do it and get out without her ever knowing that you were at the house.
Good to know. Good to know. I've broken into a house or two with a credit card or a folded lipstick container box. So just basically like cardboard.
Oh yeah, everybody's done it. And if you don't know, if you haven't done that, you haven't lived.
I've lived that at least 3 times.
I've done that. I've picked locks. I've broken into my own car before. I actually carry a lockpick set with me on a kind of regular basis. I don't really use it, but you never know when you're going to need it.
So I'm dealing with a real life badass right over here.
No.
No, not a badass.
Wannabe.
Smidge badass.
All right, so random question for you.
Okay.
If you had 30 seconds to address the world, like you were given a microphone and you were talking to the microphone and everybody in the world would hear you say whatever you're saying in their native tongue, so they would understand you, what would you say?
First of all, I'd probably say farts are always funny, guys. And then I would probably want them to think about how special it is that everybody's here. Just the whole concept of being conceived and born and to be alive, and that they need to spend more time.
But I mean, how would you sum that up in 30 seconds?
Love each other, which is what Joe Bluth would say. But, you know, I feel like I talk fast. In 30 seconds, I could say, hey, you could have been a period flushed down a toilet, but instead you're here and you need to love your fellow sisters and brother and get along with each other. Amen. Or peace. Yeah, peace would probably be better instead of amen.
Peace out.
Peace out. Amen out.
Well, not everybody is, religious, so the amen part would be a little...
Namaste.
Okay, love guru.
I believe that means peace be with you. Enjoy your day and thank you. So all things that I like to say and that I would like to convey to the entire world. It is so special to be alive. And I think sometimes people don't really stop to think about how we all got here, and instead of focusing on our differences and our hatred, that we should be so impressed and excited to all be alive and know each other. And I know I would sound like a hippie when I do that, but it's how I feel.
Well, sometimes, everybody needs a little bit of a hippie attitude.
Yes. And I'm like a big hippie, but without all the cliche stuff. Like no drugs, no flowery, well, I do love flower prints, but no flowing skirts, and I shave my armpits, and I like to do my hair, but I believe in love and peace.
I ran into a girl this past summer. I was at my friend Dave and Alicia's house for July 4th, and they throw a really big party. And so
America.
They had some friends coming in from out of town, and one of them brought his girlfriend, who is straight hippie, sitting here waiting on traffic. And she didn't shave her armpits or anything.
Oh,
it was
gross.
it was kind of weird looking, to be honest. Like, she definitely had a different mentality on things as well, as far as we got to talking. She was talking about somebody brought up, I should say, talking about the people who are just out on the streets begging, and I'm of the opinion, I admit I don't know how they got there and how their life led up to that point that they're standing on the side of the street begging for money or food, and I do feel bad for them, but I'm also kind of the idea that you can do something about it. As far as like, if you're in that situation, you can do something about it. Maybe you need a little bit of help. I've seen stuff where like dry cleaners will clean a suit or whatever for free for.
Bless you.
I would sneeze in the middle of this.
You would. The question is, are you going to do it a second time? Not that I know anything about your habits and mannerisms. The dry cleaners will clean their clothes for free, and I've seen where like barbershops will cut their hair for free, like for a job interview or something. It's not just come in anytime and I'll cut your hair, but it's just like, you need to. You're gonna turn your life around. Let me help.
Get a little cleaned up. I'll help you out. And that's great. But it's this girl. I just remember her being like, man, they're standing out there all day in the heat or the cold, whatever. And they're like, that's really tough to do. I couldn't do it. So I think they've earned a little. They've earned my pocket change. I'm like, but they haven't done anything. Except stand there. And I'm kind of opinion, if you're just standing there asking for a handout, like, no. Now if you said, hey, like, I need a couple bucks for specifically food, a little different. Or if you're like, hey, can you give me a ride to this job interview? Or, I don't know, like.
I don't know, I got psychologically mugged as a teenager by giving someone who needed a ride somewhere, and it turned into quite a mess, which, don't get me wrong, I'm a sympathetic person. I will, at least feel bad for the person standing there on the corner, but I don't normally address them or say hello or anything like that because I don't want to get involved. I just don't want to get involved. Someone got in my car, was like, oh, I need a ride here, I need a ride there, oh, I need to borrow your cell phone, oh, I need $10, and it just turned into like this big mess and left a very bad taste in my mouth as a teenager that I was like, I don't think I want to help the homeless people on the streets in that kind of way. I would rather go volunteer at like a shelter where they're helping with the food and things like that for the homeless. And there's about to be a really big double pothole right there. Nice aversion.
That's what happens when we get snow and ice in Tennessee. All of a sudden the roads, once it thaws out, there's a ton of potholes that were not there before.
Yes, I've been very strategic. Since I go up and down this road all the time, I know exactly where they are and avert crisis. Crisis averted. Not everybody else knows what I'm doing.
Yeah. It is what it is. Oh, I had to. Okay, so what did you want to do when you were a kid? And if somebody said, what do you want to be when you grow up? What was your answer?
It changed every year, which makes a lot of sense because I'm very ADD and I'm interested in everything. I found some old stuff in the attic at my mom's house where within 1 year I literally said I wanted to be a waitress, a librarian, and an astronaut. I was a waitress at one point or another, but it changed all the time. In general, my main love has always been helping animals or helping people or just being in a social environment. But oh man, I wanted to be an astronomer. I wanted to be a mother of like 6 children. It changed all the time. All the time.
Was that this one?
That's what it sounded like.
Don't know what's up with my camera.
I don't know either. It had a little message a minute ago. Something about exceeding a limit.
Oh,
Just
hey,
can't handle.
you can see the screen.
I can right now, yeah. I can watch myself.
I forgot that you could see that screen.
So sometimes I looked at it and sometimes I didn't. Because I was like, what?
That's okay.
You know,
The important part is that the red dot in the top right-hand corner is there.
I see it. You can't tell that I'm pointing at it, but I am. It's been interesting because I've never done this before.
Well, I haven't exactly done it like this before either, so
Oh, a test run.
very much a test run. Hopefully the audio at least turns out. And at very least I'll have GoPro footage. So
Yeah. Which I make weird faces all the time. Although I feel like I was being very responsible since you were asking me responsible questions.
try to keep it interesting. I feel like our generation is in a very awkward situation because, people, our parents even, for them, it was, not all of them went to college, and the ones who didn't get to college were still able to get a job, some sort of manual labor job typically out of high school and work their way up, or, start at the bottom as the mail boy at a company or something and work their way up. But some did go to college and then, get pretty decent jobs.
Did both of your parents go to college?
Both my parents went to college.
Same.
My dad has a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in pipework and performance, which I still don't understand why he did that. But
still getting a master's
yeah,
in
and
the
then
60s or 70s, that's pretty impressive.
early 70s.
Yeah, wasn't
then,
trendy.
And then he went on and got a master's in computer science and went to work for the state government and ended up retiring from them. But I guess the point of being was like, jobs that back then, could have gotten with a bachelor's degree, like practically you need a master's degree now, and it's just everything has gotten tougher, I feel like, for our generation.
Yes.
Cost of living has gone up. Minimum wage realistically has not gone up the same as cost of living. I mean, it has gone up, obviously. Back when they were teenagers, it was like less than $1 an hour, and now it's $7.50. But I just, I find it.
It's definitely different. My pop expected my mom to pay for college on her own, and she had a summertime job from high school that she was able to save up enough money, and then she continued to work through college to pay for herself to go to college. Considering I went to an out-of-state school, but they paid for my housing, my food the first year, books. Like I got a full ride for the first year, and it was like a half a ride for the, it wasn't not all paid for, but thousands upon thousands of dollars is what we were paying every semester. There's no way I could have.
Yeah, that's the other thing. The cost of
done that.
The cost of education has gone up exponentially.
And I went to a cheap school. Like it was not expensive, and I was getting some discounts.
Years and years ago. I mean, I'd say even as recently as the mid '90s. Well, which is 20 years ago now. But
it still feels like just 10 years ago.
Yeah. It was feasible for somebody to work all summer and save all the money that they made during the summer,
and
while
live
living
off of that for a semester,
and pay for college / live off of it, depending on where they went to school. Obviously, some schools are more expensive and a little bit more prestigious.
Oh yes, I didn't go to Harvard.
But these days, that's just not realistic. I mean, I joined the National Guard.
You did?
During my college career. Man, you know that everybody knows that about me. And one of the things that always bugs me, because to this day they say 100% tuition assistance when when they try to get people to join, and that is a straight bold-faced lie. It's a $4,500 per. They give you $4,500 for a year, not for a semester, for a year.
No.
No college is that cheap.
Oh.
No, I mean, even
a
if you
community college, maybe.
a community college, maybe, yeah. But it'd be like right at that. You're probably going to spend all of it.
Yeah.
You know, and now, admittedly, some states have additional tuition assistance to go on top of it, but Tennessee is not one of those. Tennessee, it's just the federal tuition assistance. And I guess my point, though, is like college has gotten so expensive, but then the expectation is for everybody to be much higher, educated now than, it used to be.
What does higher education get us?
For most people, a hole of debt.
Very true.
So,
luckily, I don't have any college debt.
Whew. I owe more on this car than I do for college, and it's not a lot.
That's excellent.
So, but part of that's because I did join the Guard and I was able to get out without spending too much money. That being said, thank you for joining me today.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for being my first podcast experience here. And the ride was wonderful. So I'll see you around, sir.
Take care.
Oh, yes, thank you. Okay, we're gonna get this.
Woman, she brings everything with her, even though I told her not to.
Stranded. Bye.
Well, thanks for joining me on this reboot of sorts for my podcast. I don't really have anything cool or insightful to say at the end of this, other than it's been fun. And hopefully I'll be back in a week with another episode with another guest who is equally as intelligent. And yeah. Adios.